You're listening to the legendary podcaster, the one, the only, T-Jam D. Your personal favorite, and the show you've been waiting for. Probably Offensive.
Welcome to Probably Offensive. I am your host, Anthony Scott Dover. And we got a lot to talk about. There's a lot been going on as of late in the news, going on in the world. Corona is no longer the big topic. It's still happening. It's still going on. They're still trying to distribute the vaccines, but we're still not sure about what the hell is going on with the vaccines. And I think I heard yesterday on the news, and I usually start the show off. I used to start the show off with Corona updates, meaning how many people have died. We know that now we are past 500,000 people who have died from COVID-19. Now, I know that there are conspiracy theorists out there who would say those numbers are not accurate. I don't choose to argue with these people anymore. I know a lot of people say, yeah, the hospitals are now claiming, everything is a COVID death because they get money from the government for all the COVID deaths. So they're reporting, anytime anybody dies, they're saying it's a COVID death. I'm sure that's not true. I'm sure they just can't say everything is a COVID death, and someone's going to believe them, especially as much as people have died from other things. You know what I'm saying? Cancer and heart attacks and diseases, injuries, car accidents. People die on arrival, and gunshot wounds, unfortunately, and people being stabbed and all kind of stuff. So COVID is still we're still knee deep in the pandemic, but COVID is not the main topic. It still is a big topic, as I said, but I'm no longer gonna start the show saying we're up to a certain amount of cases or certain amount of deaths. We did just pass 500,000 deaths here in the U.S. officially from COVID. That's up to you to decide whether you believe that or not. I tend to believe it. Like I've said many times before, there are many more people who've had COVID that didn't report it, and because they didn't want to be missing work and getting quarantined or having their kid out of school, even though most of us had our kids out of school. The schools were totally shut down from there for a little while. Speaking of which, they're talking about opening schools for those people who schools have not opened yet. My daughter's school is opened, and it's been open for a while, and she was taking classes online, virtual classes, and she's not anymore. She's been back in school she started the school year out taking virtual classes, but now she's been back in school. So second semester she started back in school. So she's been back in school, and every now and then the school calls me and says there's been someone who came in contact with COVID, and if you feel the need to take your kid out of school, feel free to do so. But I have not taken my kid out of school. She needs to learn. Hope she doesn't catch COVID. My kid is strong, though. I give her supplements, gummy bears, and extra zinc that's supposed to kill viruses. I hate saying that because everybody goes to the store and buys up all the zinc. So don't buy up all this zinc, man. I need some zinc my damn self. But anyway, there's so much more to talk about. Today, actually, is March the 4th. And for those of you who don't know what the significance is of March the 4th, that is, today is supposed to be the day that ex-president Donald Trump is supposed to be re-inaugurated and take, the White House back. He's supposed to take control of the presidency, because for everybody who believes in conspiracy theories and this Quanonsence, thinks that on March 4th, Donald Trump was supposed to wrap up his secret sting operation of pedophiles and arrest all the Democrats and take back over the presidency. Now, that is nonsensical and is not going to happen. It's the most ridiculous, idiotic nonsense I've ever heard and you've ever heard. But nevertheless, a lot of people believe that that's going to happen. That it hasn't happened so far today. And of course, for a sane person like myself, it's not going to happen. This is just something that the crazies think. And I hate to call the people crazy, because some of them are not 100% sane, but they're not totally crazy. They're just crazy enough, or just enough to let crazy seep in to their brains. If you're not 100% sane, even if you're 99% sane, you probably got a few thoughts floating around in there that are ridiculously nonsensical. If you're 95 or less percent sane, and some people are thinking you're either sane or you're not. I don't know if that's true, because some people are not batshit crazy. They're just a little crazy. So therefore, they're not 100% sane. I myself have the burden of being 100% sane. So, I pretty much know, and some people think it's about intellect. There's a young lady I know who's a very intelligent young lady and educated. She went to college and she's incredibly intelligent and educated young lady. But I don't think believing in conspiracy theories has anything to do with your intellect or your education, because there's a lot of people with PhDs who believe in these conspiracy theories. And the explanation is they're not 100% sane. That's what it is. It can be, if you're 95% sane, you just still have that 5% of your brain where you can have things creep in there that are ridiculously nonsensical. It's almost like a child believing in Santa Claus. A child, exists in our reality and functions in life, but you tell them that they're Santa Claus and they believe it. They want to believe it. They want to think that there's a guy who's magic, who flies around on reindeers and gives kids presents. It's all good for them. The only difference is with these adults is they're not going to grow out of it. They're not going to grow up and develop their brains any further. Once you're an adult, and unless something happens to you to open up your thought process, your brain is developed as much as it's going to. So anyway, I digress. Today, March 4th, is the day, as I said, that Trump is supposed to be re-inaugurated and take over the White House and back into being the president of the United States. Take control, basically, is what he's supposed to be doing today. And the thing is about these conspiracy theories is these guys are never right. But they just, when something doesn't happen the way they say it's going to happen, they just make an excuse for it and they just keep moving. It's right to the next conspiracy. Okay? This Trump thing isn't going to happen. And this is partially why Trump's such a jackass, because he knows what these QAnon believers believe in. And he knows that it's not true, but he's not going to say that because he likes the fact that they support him. So he's not going to tell them, listen, what you believe in is ridiculous. I'm not running any secret sting operation rounding up pedophiles. This guy doesn't care about that. He's friends with the pedophiles. I'm not saying he's one of them. I don't know. But I know he's friends with them because he doesn't care about stuff like that. The only thing he seems to care about is enriching himself, like trying to get money, because he loses money. He wastes it. A lot of his business holdings, his hotels and his properties are losing money. They're not making any money. So he's on the grind. He fakes it like he's a big billionaire, but really Trump is in debt. He's got to find a way to keep money coming in so he can live this lavish lifestyle and pretend like he's super rich when he's really in debt. He really has borrowed money partially to keep things moving. And that's partially why he wanted to continue being president, to stay president, because not only was he immune to being prosecuted when he was president, he was able to make money off of being president. He was getting a lot of millionaires and billionaires and even, crazy people donate money to his campaign. Right now, he still has jackasses like Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, who's out there pushing this nonsense about voter fraud. One thing is irritating, though, and that is when Trump does these speeches and says, I won the election. No, you didn't, dude. No, you did not win. You lost. Okay. I'm just wondering if he's ever going to admit he lost. Ever. I'm talking about if he, as long as he lives, years from now, if the guy's on his deathbed and he's like in another 10 years, 80 something years old, he's 4, 75. If he's 85 in 15 years, if he's 90 years old, if he'll ever admit he lost the election and was just saying this, just didn't want to admit it so he could keep the support of the people. Because, he said he might run again in 4 years. And I'm just wondering that, wouldn't that suck for the guys the other Republicans who think they're going to run for president? They want to run for president in 4 years. People like Josh Hawley or Ted Cruz, who is the biggest jackass in America. I think I talked about Ted Cruz on my last podcast, about him leaving town, going to Cancun when Texas was having one of the worst ice storms in the history of Texas, and they weren't prepared for it with the power grid. They didn't want to upgrade their equipment with the power grid, so they decided to back out of the power grid that the rest of the country is sort of tied to. Texas backed out of it and went on their own because they just really didn't want to spend money on upgrading the equipment because it would cost millions of dollars.